This episode of Gamepinions is in no way, shape, or form sponsored by Big Red Chewing Gum. Big Red.
If you don't chew Big Red, then you.
Welcome to Gamepinions, a bonus episode of Gamepinions. I am your host, Calvin, and today I'm joined by Kim.
Hi.
And we're also joined by, of course, the master of the interwebs himself, Dakota.
That was a cool.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
That was a cooler introduction.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting tired of like the one and only because I feel like it's overused. I watched something a few days ago where somebody said the one, the only, and it's like, okay, I'm not using that anymore. We have to find something cooler for you.
All right, I'll think about it.
Yep, come up with some suggestions. So today is going to be an episode about our new NASCAR Heat 4 Racing League that stars just the three of us and a whole bunch of really laggy CPU cars. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about how the league is going so far. We're 2 races in. There's been a lot of anger.
These tires are popping off.
Yeah, the tires have been very worn down. The cautions have been limitless. And so far it's been a pretty action-packed season. So basically this league has essentially been started after our most recent favorite sports games podcast. And I think that, kind of made us all want to play a racing game again. And it just so happened that NASCAR Racing 4 was on sale. I forget for how much. Was it $30, Dakota?
I think it was $20.
Oh,
it was
$20.
half off.
Wow. We couldn't pass that deal up. We had a...
We all jumped aboard Steam and we said, we got to get this for nostalgia.
Yes.
So I was even tempted to get the skateboarding game, but we can do that at some other point. We'll
That's
come
on
up with
sale on
something.
PlayStation 4 right now, by the way.
We
Just
will
saying.
come up with something. We'll figure it out.
Yes.
But NASCAR season.
Yes, NASCAR season. So the NASCAR season just started. It's also 2 races in, going to California next week, where we will also be going to California next week. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, you are going to get to see our extremely crappy NASCAR footage of all the ridiculous lagging that we experienced throughout that race. It was really scary at a lot of points in time. I guess we can kind of start talking about our Daytona race, which, I think you were back in the pack, weren't you, Kim?
Okay, I don't know what we're talking about here besides the fact that we started off the season on Daytona,
Yes,
which
Daytona.
almost ended up being the night track, which suddenly, thanks to Dakota, we finally got it put back to day, and we were like, all right, let's do this, and we got our setup. Now, for the structure of how the point system works, would you like to tell them what we got going on so far, like
All right.
how we set it up?
So the point system's really elaborate, and basically we let the game handle it all for us.
We said, let it calculate. Now, how many laps we did about? Was it just what was default? Or, because once again, I literally don't pay attention to I'm in the race, and I'm like, whoa! So,
Dakota, what did we end up doing? 25?
Yeah, so what we decided was we did 25% race length with 4 times wear, and that simulates a pretty close, like you would pit the same amount of times in this race, about, give or so, as the same if you did the full 100% race length.
Okay. And I thought that worked out pretty good.
they were pretty long games. I would still say, like, it did at least take from about 16 minutes to 25, I would say, roughly. Maybe even longer. I don't quite remember because there was a lot of rage and competition. And a lot of caution flags.
Yeah, the caution flags, I think, really ate up a lot of the time.
And in the beginning, they were strictly because of my fault, and then that quickly changed.
Well,
Thank you,
Well, it
lag.
seems like they made, so there's two options. There's yellow flag strict and yellow flag relaxed, and it almost seems like each one leans too far to one side. Like strict is way too strict and relaxed is way too relaxed. What happened like in 2004? It was like the perfect balance, and even the games on the PS3.
I know, yeah. It's really bizarre that, like, because we were racing. This is kind of skipping ahead to Las Vegas because we had to race Las Vegas multiple times due to connection issues. Not really sure what's going on there. I feel like our internet connections are fast enough to be able to handle that. We don't really have that issue with any other game. Not really sure what the deal with that is, but we had relaxed cautions on because we felt like Daytona was being eaten up by too many cautions. Now the problem is, like Dakota was saying, the relaxed cautions are way too extreme to the other side. Like it's.
I think you were completely faced the other way, and we didn't get a yellow
I
flag.
know. I was like,
No, I'm pretty sure an
backwards.
explosion happened and no one cared.
I mean, I was cruising at the front of the pack, so I wasn't too mad about it, but I could see how that could be frustrating. I can understand.
It was like a 20-car pileup in turn 3, and there's no caution. It's like, what is happening? Like, how is this not a
very
caution?
odd. Very odd. It needs tweaking for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I would also like to talk about this game specifically, and to get to the lobby itself was a little weird for me, especially since I'm used to your standard menu system. So when we even got to the online games to join a hosted lobby, there's two kinds of hosting you could do. It's called hosting, and another one's called like normal or something like default. So our very first race actually went pretty smooth with very, very minimal lag. And I found that very enjoyable. But for some reason, as our races kept going, as our like second race and third race and all the restarts we had to do thanks to lag, I think that it just got progressively worse. And we're trying to pinpoint that issue. So, but yeah, when you were talking about how strict it was, how they work, if it's strict, then if you try to push somebody, then you're going to get like a flag. You're going to have to do the whole thing. And when it's really relaxed, it's like you can literally blow up, catch fire, turn upside down, go fly, and like there's not going to be one. So it's very extreme.
Yeah, now there's also, because all the flags are on, and there's also the black flag, which we haven't encountered yet. And I'm not really sure what you have to do in order to receive the black flag. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure that somebody on this podcast, maybe more than one person on this podcast, was passing below the yellow line at Daytona, which in real life is illegal and you can't do it.
Okay, wait a minute.
It
All right.
may or may not have been
So
Kim.
everyone,
Throwing a lot around, a lot of accusations there. Calvin.
yeah. In the very beginning, they were, specifically Calvin was saying, "Hey, those are some illegal moves you're doing." Like, literally programmed to basically taunt me every single time I started a race. Granted, I'm not very good at racing anyway. I race like it's like a street racing game. So as soon as we begin, I'm like, I'm going to go in the inside, even if I'm out over here. So I just literally do a diagonal line straight into where I want to be without any regard to who's there. And I was really bad at that at first. And I was also going underneath the line to pass, literally using it as some sort of boosting system, curve into it, depending on to ram into somebody so they can get me readjusted into a good position. And then I don't know what I was doing. But I will say, as we kept racing, I was not the dirtiest racer here, okay? And I'm pretty sure that goes to Calvin.
Definitely not
We
a
need
dirty
to
racer.
make legit trophies.
I will show on the footage,
I have footage
that
too.
you are watching right now, if you guys are on YouTube, that I am definitely a victim of lag, and I was not racing dirty.
Kate doesn't lie.
Yeah, it's going to be
wait,
proof.
You see my poor victim video of me and lag because
I will say it's never fun to third wheel, but third wheeling in a racing league with two people that are dating and as competitive as you two are is probably the worst experience in my life. But it made for some really fun races that we've had so far.
Hey, listeners, this is Calvin. I just wanted to come on here, have a brief interruption. Just want to give you guys a heads up that Kim does lose her microphone, but we do realize it just takes us a few minutes. So please just bear with us here for the next few minutes. It's going to be some kind of sketchy audio quality, but it does get better because we do end up sharing our microphones. So I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast so far and continue to listen right now.
We get very competitive. We're very vulgar, so you're not going to hear the audio from those races.
I thought you were going to wreck Calman in real life the next morning. We had one race where it was definitely caused by the lag. I mean, the cars were all over the track. You couldn't pass anybody safely. And I think Calman's car was like showed him on the outside, and Kim tried to pass inside. And then Calman's car was actually inside, and they both just wrecked so hard.
And Dakota's over here listening to us. It sounds like a legitimate fight, but really we're very competitive and we get like really salty, but in person we're making all these like winky faces and little scrunchy faces and then laughing faces. So we're very vulgar sounding and very angsty, and I like to scream and yell and act as if the whole world's melting, and then the next minute I'm like, you want a soda? You want something?
I said the F word at least 3 times.
Yeah.
Whoa, 3 times, dude?
It's more than
Yeah.
I mean, we get really dirty. Like, we will break you down, and that's just how it is in video games for me. I haven't felt that kind of competition really, because I've usually been pretty good at games where like I still get really high up there on the board. So I'm like, I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm dandy. But this time, when I was being criticized over my driving style, which was already forewarned, and then literally the lag and of course dirty driving, it gets a little heated to the point where literally Dakota's like, are they having issues? And even my mom, who like overheard just an argument with no context, literally told me yesterday, I think it was yesterday, she's like, what's going on in your personal life, Kim? Is everything okay? I think I heard you and Cal arguing, and I just want to make sure everything's fine. Like, are you projecting onto me? I'm like, what are you talking about?
Well, Mom, on lap 23 at Daytona, let me tell you.
It was hilarious. I was literally in tears laughing.
Yeah.
Well, these online leagues are always fun. I mean, I think that I wanted to talk a little bit about like the features of the league, I guess, because for me, this is the first NASCAR game I've played in a while, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed with the features or like the options for online leagues. There's doesn't really seem to be a good way to run one.
Yeah, there's really not any way to run one. You have to do everything manually yourself, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, because it looks like the season mode. I played a little bit of the career mode, and it seems really cool. It's your basic, you start with the dirt tracks, and then you work your way up to the trucks, and then, the minor league of racing, and you acquire sponsors. But, just going into a quick race is really neat because you start with practice automatically. You can adjust the car. Then you move on when you feel like you ran a good lap to the qualifier, and then you run the actual race. And that's all just out of the exhibition mode. Like, I don't understand why there wouldn't be, like, an online option now, especially since most games everybody plays online now. That's everybody. So you would think they would dedicate a little bit more resources to that.
Yeah, and especially because, people are saying, oh, yeah, this NASCAR Heat 4 is going to be esport ready. And it's like, not really. It's not. I feel like the infrastructure is really weak compared to other sports games. Which, is really disappointing because I feel like that NASCAR with like pit strategy and, the driving on the track and just everything that kind of goes in with it, it is kind of a thinking game if, there's not a million cautions as to what to do. And the fact that there's not like a solid infrastructure in place where you can actually run an effective league without having to manually do everything yourself is extremely disappointing. I feel like there's a lot of like gameplay mechanics, which we mentioned back in our favorite sports games about like, the NASCAR Chase for the Cup and, oh, Kim, you lost your mic.
You guys just lost me. Sorry. So let me just go ahead and regurgitate on you. I don't know what else to say about that. But basically, what's a good catchphrase? Yeah, edit me. So aesthetically or visually, if we're talking about the game, there could have been more done with like the custom garage and where you're editing your car. There's just a blank background, and also when you pit, like I want to see that guys getting out there and getting dirty, flipping out. Maybe like your guy trips. Where's like your pit time and their pit time are different. Where's that random kind of, oh my god, my guys took too long and now I'm getting out there. Like there could have been a little bit more to add to the race rather than what's done already. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a basic formula. Make it more complicated by a random pit time. I think that would have been a little bit cooler too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think, going back to what we were talking about, NASCAR Chase for the Cup, and even NASCAR '04, I think, Dakota, you said that was the one that you played heavily way back when. Like, I think that they're missing a lot of, like, core features, like, the whole rival system. And obviously you don't have to include that online. But, I mean, it would kind of be cool to have, like, your friends listed as, like, rivals or allies. That'd be something kind of cool to incorporate. And also, NHL kind of does something like this too, and I can't stand it. I hate when something occurs in the game and it doesn't replay it. So when there's a caution, I want to be able to see the caution happening. Like, that's part of the experience of the race.
Yes.
So when it's just, oh, the caution's out, and it's like, for what? Well, you're never going to know because there's no way to review it, and there's no way to, be able to, find out what happens after the race because there's no way to replay the race.
Like, you better look in that rearview mirror.
Yeah.
That's all you're left to. And, the cool thing with NASCAR is there's so much that goes into the car, whether it be the tires or the aerodynamics. Even the first time you see a wreck or you see why that caution came out, seeing it 3-4 times, you might notice something or somebody else that got affected by the crash. So maybe you see somebody got the front of their bumper damaged or something, and then maybe later on in the race you see that they're behind you. You may not have to worry because you're like, wait a minute, that car is going to have to pit soon. They got some damage. Or, like the Ryan Newman crash at Daytona, it wasn't really till like the second time you saw the replay, you saw how bad it was.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was like each time you saw it, you noticed something different. So, yeah, there's not a whole ton of replay. I don't know if there's more in the career mode. I haven't played it too much yet. But in online, it's basically non-existent.
Yeah, and I think the majority of people that are going to get this are probably going to play online, right? I mean, that's where you're going to be competing against other people. I feel like that's the most fun that you're going to have. And just the fact that it's not a full experience to me is a bit disappointing, especially because I feel like these features were around in games that were not even just last generation, but the generation before that. So it just feels very far behind, and I don't know. It's hard to describe, I guess, but it just feels like they haven't made a ton of advancements. And obviously, this is a different company working on this. It's no longer EA. It's not Papyrus. It's just, I don't even remember who's making this game, honestly.
So it's Monster Games, and I was just going to ask you, EA gets a lot of flack for the series that they do have, but they probably have the best sports games. I mean, there's, you look at 2K, which I know is good, but even that has gone downhill. If this was made by EA, do you think it would have those things?
It's hard to say because I feel like even NHL doesn't, like NHL, they could show what happens prior to like a play stoppage, but instead it like zooms in to like some random like popcorn guy sitting on the steps in the stadium. And he's not even allowed to do that. So I don't know. Like, I feel like EA has cut some corners too, but I know at least in Madden they'll show replays of a good play, and even NHL they'll show a replay of a goal. But I mean, NASCAR, a lot of the highlight reels, like for better or for worse, are the crashes. So you're not going to show the crashes when they happen? Like, wouldn't you want to know?
Or at least have some sort of like what would be like so next level, since most gamers play with a headset, is that you actually have your pit or just a basic one. It doesn't even have to be like 5 different people, different tones, different voices, but at least one voice actor who can at least project like what number crashed or what caused it. Like like maybe that's how they do their damage, I'm sure. Like there should be some sort of sensory that they can do where they could at least tell you there's a caution. It involved number 6 or number 5. I'm sure, though, if they did that, it'd probably be like a 5-minute speech if it's really bad.
I think, though, that going back to what you said, Dakota, that would EA have it, I'm going to change my answer. I think they would have it because they had it before. They had it like 10 years ago. Like, I think I remember vividly in Chase for the Cup that when there was a caution, not only would it show the replay, but it would show it from multiple angles.
It had different angles, yeah.
Yeah, you have like a dash cam, you have like, hood cam, you have like from the third person perspective, like above shot. They don't have that anymore. They don't have any of that, at least not.
I mean, those games came out like 17 years ago, and I know, we talked about it on the sports episode. I mean, NASCAR '04 made my top 5 list. You would just think that, and again, I know it's a different studio and they probably don't have the same resources, but it's kind of a shame to see that features that were in the game 16 years ago still aren't in there now. And that's even like we discussed with Madden. It's the same exact thing, although Madden has a much bigger developer. But you wonder, it's tough. It's tough to say. I wish we just got. We're sitting here and we're like, man, there's so many things we could add to this, and it's a shame that we'll probably never get it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I don't know if iRacing's any different. I'm not sure. I'm sure it is, but it's also not it's not really a game, it's more of a simulation, I guess. So
It's a simulation, yeah, a subscription model. So for those listening, we were trying to decide. We kind of got the itch talking about Gran Turismo and NASCAR, and we were trying to decide what racing game to go with. And iRacing was one that we talked about. But yeah, it's a subscription model. You have to buy cars. Some are really expensive. Some can be $15-$20 and up from there.
Jesus.
Simulation style. I believe you have to use a wheel. There's no option for controller. So this game kind of fit our needs a little bit more, and I'm having fun with it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, me too.
There's definitely a lot that could be improved, but I've been having a blast logging in and just doing races. It is a fun game.
Yeah, not to like drag the game because we are still having a blast with it. It's still very fun, and we're going to try our next little test sequence for the game is to see if maybe our customs are actually causing additional lag because it has to load in all of that. So hopefully if we can get an answer on that, we can follow up with like if you're playing online and your internet's not that great, maybe not to use a custom car, even though you might want to reduce some lag possibilities. So that's something that we're going to be looking into, which was not my idea, FYI. I think it was Dakota's or yours.
I
Well,
think Calvin.
yeah, like I actually looked it up on Twitter, like just, from I guess common word search or whatever you consider that. And some people said that in their leagues, they pretty much outlawed the custom cars because it tends to cause some instability or instability on like the server or whatever. Not really sure how true that is, but if I remember correctly, I think only Kim drove a custom car our first night playing, and that was pretty much a lag-free experience. So we're going to give that a try. One more thing that I just wanted to kind of bash the game for, and this is kind of racing games in general.
Oh, we're throwing it under.
Yeah, it's like most people that play these games, all right, they probably have a wheel, right? But I kind of feel like that might not be true because wheels are pretty expensive. So I wish that they would kind of cater to people that use controllers and freaking optimize the cars to control better with the controller. If you're going to have a controller option, make the car control better. Because it's kind of, it feels very loose. Like it feels like there's a ton of like dead zone or something with the analog stick, or you have to, keep clicking the analog stick down to get like a proper turn. Like it's really strange. And that was a problem with Gran Turismo and a lot of other games that, try to be like simulations, that the controller typically doesn't work if there's support at all for it. So I feel like if you're going to include controller support, you have to fix it. And you have to make it more optimized to control with a controller.
And basically, to add to that, with the whole controller and how it functions, I'm literally like doing what I call a Nintendo 64 version of controlling my car, which is tap, 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 tap to the left. And I just keep tapping every time I have to turn because I've noticed that I feel like I can actually turn more dramatically just by tapping it to get it to where I want it, instead of literally being basically drug around a curve and not, losing my inside position. I realized that by tapping it, I can actually stay inside more. So that was something I was originally doing, and then of course I got lazy and I was like, I'll just hold it, and then I ended up getting behind in my lead. But
It's hard to hold a line, yeah, for sure.
It's very difficult. So I just wish that in future iterations of the game, maybe think a little bit more about, people that are using the controller, because maybe that's something that is holding people back from even being interested in the game because they know it's not going to control good, and they know they're not going to spend upwards of $120 for a steering wheel that they might not even use after they're done playing NASCAR. So I don't know, just a thought. But I guess I was going to talk about our custom cars because this might be the last time we ever use them. I'll start with Kim over here. What did you make your car after? What's the design? Describe it for me.
Okay, mine's very general, and then we'll hop over to Dakota. But basically, mine's just a big, pink, pretty car, and the number's 99. I also had a Hooter sticker, but I think someone else had it, so I took it off and put the off-road sticker because it was pretty. It reminded me of our logo, so I was like, "Oh, that's cute." But basically, I've always in NASCAR games and whatnot, I always try to choose number 99 or at least double digits. But 99, I remember for some reason for so much, like I just chose it. I don't know why. I was like, that's so cool. And then suddenly, like Ariana Grande's 99 Problems, and I'm like, oh my god, I have meaning now. But anyway, so I I chose that one. And if I don't have a custom car, I do plan on probably choosing number 6, which is Newman, or number 9, Elliott. And I think I'm gonna go with Elliot. And the reason why is because, well, that's embarrassing, but he sponsored Mountain Dew, I think, once, and I'm like, oh, yay.
And
So,
Hooters.
and Hooters, so he has the right sponsors under his belt. But he seems genuinely nice, and I think I'm going to roll with him. So.
Okay. Now, Dakota, what did you design your car after, or what's the design of your car?
Yeah, so I went with a maroon '88. My inspiration for this car was the old school kind of like Dale Earnhardt Jr. red. If you look at my car, it's a little bit of a darker shade, and
Mhm.
whereas he had kind of like the black stripes up on the front of the car on the side panels.
Yeah.
I went with a white. I'm really satisfied with my car. I had a lot of fun with the creation, even though it was kind of limited in sponsors and designs, but. That was it. Unfortunately, may not be able to use it for too much longer if this switching to the stock cars works out to eliminate lag. I'll
Yeah.
probably be moving on to the Kevin Harvick. He's kind of my guy right now until I find, ever since we were joking like what driver to root for, and he's kind of my guy right now. But I don't know. Nobody really has grabbed my attention. Where like even him, like I really want him to win when I'm watching the races. But for right now, he's my favorite.
Okay. I'm surprised that you're not eventually going to be Team Alex Bowman, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s replacement.
Yeah, it's just I have no connection to him. I could root for him because he replaced him, but I have no
Yeah.
connection. I'm gonna wait. I'll latch on to somebody. I just don't know who that is yet. Right now, it's Kevin Harvick, but we'll see.
I'm like in the same position too. I chose Newman, and then he got into a crash. I'm like, well, here we go. Like, there goes my driver. It's like, there goes a tire. But instead,
Maybe it's
driver.
best if you don't pick a driver.
And now, I kind of. Very true. Now I feel like, I'm going to jinx the person I do choose. So I was like kind of watching their style of driving and kind of seeing them. So I'm still in the decision making process, but I'm going to roll with Elliot for now. Just because I kind of like how he's aggressive. But I honestly think it's very calculating. Like, he's very careful with his maneuvers. And I kind of like, so far from what I'm seeing, like how I don't know, it's just I like his moves.
Yeah, I like Chase Elliott too. So my car was originally modeled after, of course, the classic 1990s Jeff Gordon Rainbow Warrior car. No. Yeah, so the classic, DuPont Rainbow Chevy. For the second race in Las Vegas, I changed it up a little bit. I was trying to kind of go for this certain paint scheme that Gordon drove. It was kind of like a reverse rainbow car. Doesn't really look anything like it, but of course it's the classic number 16, my favorite number, which was also the car number that Jeff Gordon wanted when he went into NASCAR originally, but was of course unable to have it. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. The driver, I guess I'll go with going forward, because we probably won't be able to use the custom cars, is probably going to be William Byron. I have such a hard time pulling against the 24 car just because I've been following it since I was like 9 years old or something like that.
He literally has T-shirts of, like, I'm pretty sure when he was 10. Like, I'm pretty sure his 10-year-old T-shirts, and we have not.
Oh, I
gotten
can
rid of
confirm he had T-shirts, jackets, hats.
Pencil cases, pencils. I had Jeff Gordon pencils at some point. Those are cool pencils. So I'm going to be rocking with William Byron. He also lives in the Charlotte area where I currently live, so it's pretty cool. have some kind of minute journey, and then this is where he lives, so it's pretty neat. So yeah, I'll be rocking that car, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That Exalta Flame car looks pretty sweet, so I'm excited to drive it.
Do we know what our next track is going to be? We did 2 races. One was Daytona. The next one was it Atlanta that we did next?
No, it's Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Oh my God. Okay, so the next one is.
It's gonna be California or Fontana, right, Dakota?
Yeah, that's the next one on the list here. Been running some practice laps this week in preparation.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Cheater! I literally don't do any of this, and I've been doing good.
Yeah, California's a really nice track. Very smooth. The turns are very gradual. I always like driving there just because you can pretty much go wherever you want on the turn. It just feels very smooth and nice. So, but I wanted to talk about, I guess, the results from Daytona and then the results from Las Vegas, and then we can probably wrap this thing up until next week. So Daytona, I guess we'll start with Dakota. Dakota, how did you do at Daytona?
I felt real good. I was at the front of the pack most of the race. A lot of cautions, but I felt like I pitted at the right times. The car was running real good, handled real nice.
Real good.
Unfortunately, for stage 1 and 2, I think I ran top 5s, which wound up being huge. Really the main source of my points from that race, because unfortunately, as you know, with Daytona, there's going to be the big one, and I got caught right up in it at the end of the race and pushed me all the way back to, I think, 40th, and wound up finishing 28th. Somehow passing. I got a good run on the last lap, which let me pass a pretty big pack of cars. But it was fun. I mean, like we talked about, Daytona it's unpredictable. Chances are you're going to get in a wreck at some point in that race, and it basically comes down to who can stay out of that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure for that race I actually took the lead, and I would honestly say that Dakota's chances got ruined after like my first initial crash with him.
You won stage 1, if I'm recalling correctly.
Yeah.
I think she did, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a winner, even though I was told that I was doing all kinds of illegal moves. Sometimes you gotta cheat. But no, Dakota really is like a good driver. I think he actually won the second. Was it the second track? Las Vegas?
Yeah, you won at Las Vegas. But I wanted to say what I did at Daytona.
I just wanted to call him out.
Gosh, Kim.
I crashed him, so it was maybe a little skewed. But go ahead, Cal.
So where did you finish at Daytona, Kim?
In Daytona, I thought I got first.
No, Jimmy Johnson won.
Well, I got pretty high up there.
Kim was top 10,
I
I think. I'm pretty sure she was top 10. She might have been like 7th or 8th.
I feel like you got 4th.
I'm gonna have to recall the video, but
yeah, we'll look at the video and
I did good. I did real good.
Yeah, and I came in 2nd. Jimmy Johnson, I could not prevent him from passing me. I was kind of a sitting duck. I think I had a pretty banged up front end of the car, and yeah, Jimmy Johnson got me off off turn 4, and yeah.
He got a little bit of help, I think, if I'm remembering right. Didn't he have somebody push him on the outside, and that was all it really took?
Yeah, probably Kim.
Hey, I'm pretty sure me and Jimmy didn't work together. I think he was like one of my enemies. Like if I saw him coming around me, I got a little scared.
She's like, he's not my ally.
It was very scary. It was like, because you don't know who's gonna ram you, and you don't know what, as we progressively played, if lag is gonna cause you basically to collide and make this huge explosion, which you'll probably end up seeing in some of the footage we show.
Yeah, so I was really disappointed. Runner-up finish at Daytona, good for points. And then we moved to Las Vegas, where Dakota really dominated the entire race. I don't think you really lost the lead once, except maybe for when you went to go pit.
That was about it. I felt really good about this track in practice. I felt like I had a good setup. I felt like I had a really good lane that I was able to find, and I pretty much just ran that the entire race. I got out to a really big lead early. And it seemed like every time there was a caution that it would draw the cars back in, I was able to jump back out to that lead. And then, yeah, you're right. So with about 10 laps to go, I think coming out of the pits, I think I got pushed back to like 20th, but I felt good because I took all 4 tires, repaired all damage. The car was in really good shape. And then I think by lap, like two or more laps after coming out of the pit, I think I was back in first. And then by 3 or 4 laps after that, I had a pretty solid lead again.
Yeah. Yeah, and I tried to make up ground in the end, and I think me and Kim went in two opposite directions at the end. Um, I started the restart, I think, back in 40th because I tried to stay out, and I thought that was going to kind of be my time to, have a shot at winning the race. And of course, we had another caution, which was caused by me because my tires were just shot. I couldn't turn. And yeah, so my strategy ended up not working out. I've been trying to beat both of you guys in terms of strategy, like in when I'm pitting, and it hasn't even been close to working out at all.
I'm pretty sure if that's the race I remember, I pitted like freaking 6 times. It was bad. If I remember correctly, I never pit. I don't know why, unless literally I got in a wreck and I am wobbling, I guess, dramatically where I know it's not the lag, which that's bad. Then I'll pit. But usually I stay out on the track, and I don't know. I literally don't have strategy. But Dakota's car is really good at starting.
Yeah, you do have a good car on the restarts. I think towards the end of the race, my car was kind of doing the same thing. So in the closing laps, I think you kind of pulled away, Dakota. Kim was kind of having some issues in the pack. I think your tires were kind of starting to wear down.
Some issues in the pack, aka Cowman's
No.
constant blowing me out here. But thank you.
No. So I was working my way up. I think I went from 40th, and I think I ended up cracking into the top 10, which gives you, points for finishing up high. And so basically, I think Kim was leading the point standings going into Las Vegas. Dakota was last because of his 28th place finish at Daytona. Obviously winning all the stages, and then of course winning the race at the end gave Dakota a pretty big boost. So now Dakota is now leading in the point standings, and I actually have the point standings right here, which I'm going to just pull up real quick if I can get them. All right, so Dakota is now leading the point standings with 86. I am now in second with 85, and then Kim has 69 points. So
Wow.
It's close. It's close. There's still a lot of racing to be done.
I didn't even know about drifting or pushing, really, any of that, while we were in Daytona. Okay, and I still pulled ahead there. So, I don't know. Fair game. Just wait.
Kim's just got a good car. You have a really good crew, and they keep you running.
I got the illegal strategy in my pocket.
She has some nitro. Car run real good.
NASCAR is going to need to come down and inspect that vehicle.
Well, after Las Vegas, they already took us to the hauler, the big red hauler. So we had to go and discuss. But I'm having a ton of fun, and I think as the races, continue to accumulate, I think all of us are going to get better. I think it's going to become like a more close race than how Las Vegas was. And if we can figure out this lag thing, I think we're going to be in for a really fun season. And then maybe next year, depending on how this like first beta season goes, maybe we'll have enough enough of an audience to maybe include some of them into, this type of thing. So I think that'd be really awesome. That's kind of like a long-term dream goal, that we'd have like kind of like a series. But in terms of like rewards and stuff at the end of the season, I think we should have like some kind of little trophy for the champion. I don't know what you guys think.
Oh, I will find one.
Yeah, I can get that.
I will find one.
Something tangible.
I'm gonna bedazzle it too.
Oh God. But yeah, so do you guys have any predictions of like who's gonna win this weekend? Not in real life, but just in our little series.
Me.
I'm feeling pretty confident. These speedways, I tend to do better at these smaller tracks. I feel like I always get caught up in the wrecks on these larger tracks. So we're gonna see what happens. If last week was any indication, I'm gonna win in a landslide, but we'll see.
Okay, I think that I'm probably gonna win just because I know how to run real good at California. So
he knows how to be a bully on the road. But if it's not me that wins, I want Dakota to win.
I felt way more confident going into Las Vegas than I did this track. I've been practicing a little bit. I feel good. I don't feel as good as I did Las Vegas.
Well, I feel pretty good because like all the reasons I said before. I think California is a very smooth track. I think it's not aggressive. You don't have to ease up on the throttle too much. I think it fits my style really well.
I'm really scared of his driving. Like, if I get stuck behind him, I'm not going to win. I have to be ahead of him. So I might actually do some research on how to better my build or car thing, whatever you guys call it. Customize.
Your setup.
Yes.
Well, guys, I think we did good today. I think we ran this podcast real good, and I think we can go ahead and wrap that up. So, I guess until next time. I don't want to use the same outro that we use for the normal podcast.
Boogity boogity boogity, let's go racing, boys.
The cringe is real. All right, we will catch you guys later on in the week with a normal Gamepinions episode, and we will catch you guys next week for our second bonus NASCAR Gamepinions Racing League thing that we'll have to somehow streamline a name for.
NASCAR.